Hi everyone, and welcome back to Growing Up in Scientology. I wanted to do a video update here on what's happening in Clearwater and the latest events between Scientology and the city council and the mayor and even the downtown business community. So anyone who's paying attention to this knows that 2 or 3 weeks ago, time goes by so fast these days, I'm not sure if it was really 2 to 3 weeks ago, but recently the city voted to buy a piece of land that's right behind the Flagland base that the church desperately wanted. The land was owned by the Clearwater Marine Aquarium. It's a vacant plot of land. The Marine Aquarium was in the process a couple years ago of trying to move their entire operations to downtown Clearwater. And they bought this plot of land as a part of those plans. The church played a pretty significant role in getting those plans killed because the aquarium was going to be right next to the Flagland base, and David Miscavige and the Church of Scientology do not want non-Scientologists around the Flagland base. They view non-Scientologists to be a risk to the security and well-being of the Flagland base. So Scientology helped get those plans killed for the aquarium, and then the aquarium decided to sell this land, and it coincided with a revitalization effort that the city of Clearwater is conducting. And so the Clearwater Marine Aquarium went under contract with the city to sell the city the land for $4.25 million. The church offered $15 million. And the Clearwater Marine Aquarium said, go shove it, would not take the church's money, and insisted on selling to the city. The city isn't actually going to develop the land. The city is going to knock down its current city hall, which is next to this vacant plot of land. It's going to combine these plots, and it's going to hopefully sell them to a developer that will build something right there in downtown Clearwater that all people of Clearwater can use. If the church had bought that land, they would have put something on it that only Scientologists could use. All right, so that all happened. And then the church came out and accused the city council and the mayor, the city of Clearwater, the government of the city of Clearwater, of bigotry and hatred against Scientology, which is laughable. It's laughable. It's not the city that stole the deal from Scientology. It's the aquarium that stuck to its guns on selling the parcel to the city. Okay. To keep my thoughts organized here because there's many different things that have happened. So one thing that happened is leading up to this vote where the city voted to buy the land, the church, David Miscavige, actually hosted an event where he invited private, by invitation only, certain non-Scientologist downtown business owners to the Fort Harrison Hotel ballroom and did a nice little event, and John Travolta was there, and I know his wife was there, and one other celebrity was there that I think Kirstie Alley was there, if she counts. And the message was this. The message from Scientology to the downtown business owners was this. We are going to do wonderful things for you. We are going to give you money to completely renovate the facades of the front of your businesses, your storefronts. And all we need from you is to help convince the city council not to buy this parcel of land. And what happened after that meeting is many emails were sent to the city council being like, yeah, we think it would be great if you let Scientology buy this land. And the Clearwater City Council said, thank you, but no thank you, we're going to buy the land. And they bought the land and they closed on the land. So what has Scientology done now? Punish the people. Scientology has, according to the Tampa Bay Times and the reporting that they did, this came out Friday, May 5th, initiated a boycott against all downtown Clearwater businesses. This is blowing my mind. And what also blows my mind is that they admitted it. They probably don't think they admitted it, but I will show you what I'm talking about here. I'm reading from the article that the Tampa Bay Times wrote. Let me see, Mr. Ben Shaw. Okay, I thought if the church was just going to stick to its normal textbook, procedures for handling the press, they would just say, we have no idea what you're talking about. Scientology Sea Org members spend tons of money in downtown Clearwater and always have and always will. Here's what they said. Scientology spokesman Ben Shaw said in a statement to the Times, that, quote, there is absolutely not any boycott of downtown by either staff or parishioners, unquote, and that the church has received queries in the past few months about whether staff could wear a different uniform or none at all. Shaw said the constant complaints about the uniforms are frustrating, and the church wants to avoid any cause for complaints. Quote, we wish to avoid doing anything that would upset anybody, Shaw said. If you don't recognize staff, it's because they aren't in uniform when frequenting downtown. Okay, and carrying on here. Downtown business owner said at the development board meeting that merchants are feeling under duress as a result of the church's boycott. Where's the other comment by Ben Shaw? The other thing about the uniforms, bear with me. Ugh. Okay. Here's my point and when I read what Ben Shaw says. Ben is even acknowledging that there is a problem, quote unquote, with Sea Org members and their uniforms being in downtown. Why is he mentioning this? Because the mayor at some meetings recently made comments acknowledging that if you're not a Scientologist and you're just a tourist and you come to downtown Clearwater and you see all these uniformed people walking around, that it is imposing and it is intimidating, and people can think there's some sort of a military presence, and it makes it somewhat uncomfortable to be downtown. And the implication was that the presence of uniformed Sea Org members is keeping non-Scientologists from coming downtown. Now, the words of Ben Shaw that I just read, if you just take them at face value, don't sound like he's admitting to a boycott. But here's why I say he's admitting to a boycott. He's acknowledging that uniformed Sea Org members are not going into downtown Clearwater businesses. He is saying, although it's a lie, that, if it seems like Sea Org members have stopped going to the downtown businesses, it's only because out of respect they're changing out of their uniform. That is such horse shit. I spent 3 years full-time at the flag base as a non-Sea Org member, but as a staff member from an outer org. I was a staff member from the Philadelphia org. Studied full-time at Flag for 3 years, just like I was a Sea Org member. I also spent 4 years on the Sea Org base in Los Angeles and downtown LA, in Hollywood, as an actual Sea Org member. I can tell you definitively, the idea that Sea Org members would go to post in the morning. Now keep in mind, here at Clearwater, they actually have to take a bus from their apartment building up on Saturn Avenue to the Flag building in downtown Clearwater. The idea that Sea Org members would bring with them a change of clothing, a change of civilian clothing, so that on their 20-minute meal break, they could change to go into a store and then change back into their uniform to go to post, is totally absurd. So that's why I'm saying I was shocked to read Ben Shaw's words and hear him admit that what the Tampa Bay Times reporting is a legitimate thing. If he is willing to actually acknowledge that the church has recently implemented new policies that uniformed Sea Org members are not allowed to go into the businesses, he is admitting to a boycott. He simply threw on top of the admission a little bit of what he thought was icing of, oh yeah, they're just going in without their Sea Org uniforms. No. Sea Org members are not changing out of their uniform to go do a few minutes of shopping or to go eat a 10-minute meal. Not happening. So he's admitted it in my eyes. That I read this and I go, he has admitted it. This is amazing. This shows how petty. I mean, anyone who watches Scientology, pays attention to it at all. This is not news. This is not. When I say mind-blowing, many people will be like, why would this blow your mind? You already know how petty and vindictive David Miscavige and the Church of Scientology are. Yes, I know it. But we're in a modern age of the internet, and I simply can't believe that they would make it so obvious. I simply can't believe that they would turn on the people who own businesses in downtown Clearwater, when just a month ago they were wining and dining them in the Crystal Ballroom of the Fort Harrison, saying, let me tell you about all the wonderful things we're going to do for you. And really, the Scientology gave the downtown business owners a task that was almost unimaginable and not possible to accomplish. Those business owners sending some emails to the city council was absolutely never going to change the city council's mind about buying this piece of land. And yet now the church has done a 180 and is penalizing those people for not doing what they were asked to do, which was make sure the city didn't buy that lot. There was something else about this that I was going to comment on. It's interesting that he only mentions, okay, here, this is more of just overall thoughts on this subject. I find it fascinating that the church would overtly engage in this kind of a boycott of downtown Clearwater. But I also have to at the same time ask, how much of an impact could this possibly have? There's only a handful of businesses in downtown Clearwater that a Sea Org member would ever go into. And the ones off the top of my head that I'm thinking of, one of them is Scientology owned. It's called the One Stop Shop, and it's where Sea Org members can buy vitamins and supplies and whatever. It's owned by a Scientologist, so a lot of the stuff that they sell there is specifically geared to Scientologists and specifically geared to Sea Org members. There's the Starbucks on the corner, but Scientology is the one that got that Starbucks to build a location there. I don't see any reason for Sea Org members to want to boycott the Starbucks. They're already sort of doing an inadvertent boycott of the Starbucks, because once the flag building opened up downtown, the Sea Org members were no longer in quite as close of a walking distance of the Starbucks. And plus there's many cafes in that new big giant flag building. And so whereas the line of Sea Org members used to go out the door at the Starbucks, you almost never see them there anymore. There's Tony's Pizza, which to the best of my knowledge is not owned by a Scientologist. It's right on the main intersection of downtown Clearwater. Scientology Sea Org members do not have the time to sit down and have a meal at Tony's Pizza. It can take 10 or 15 minutes to cook a pizza. Scientologists usually have 10 or 15, the Sea Org members usually have 10 or 15 minutes to eat a meal. And also, if you're a Sea Org member at Flag, and you would actually be looked at with suspicion if you said, no, I'm not going to eat in the cafeteria today. For some reason, I need to go to the pizza place down the street and spend money I really kind of shouldn't even have to eat pizza. I kind of shouldn't even really need. Like, it would be weird for a Sea Org member to have lunch or dinner at Tony's Pizza. It's not totally impossible. But in this article, I think Tony says that only 5 or 6% of customers at any given mealtime in his restaurant are uniformed Scientologists. I was very surprised to hear that it was actually that high. And I think one of the reasons might be that the staff members of the Tampa Church of Scientology also wear uniforms. And those guys are not Sea Org members. And a non-Scientologist would probably not know the difference between, I mean, they would be able to see that there's a color difference, but they wouldn't know the significance of the difference between the uniform of a Tampa staff member and the difference of a uniform with of a Flag Sea Org member. And it's possible that a lot of those Tampa staff members do live in Clearwater, and so it's possible that coming or going, those Tampa staff members would be eating at Tony's Pizza. But if Tony's Pizza says that only 5% of their business comes from Sea Org members, then who's really being impacted by this boycott? One Stop Shop is definitely not under boycott. There's no way Scientology is telling Scientologists to stop shopping at Scientology-owned businesses in downtown Clearwater. There was another comment here of, so a woman mentioned in the article, Lynn Texiera, don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. She is the owner of a studio on Cleveland Street, said that Wednesday's downtown development board meeting that the merchants are feeling under duress. No, that's not interesting. Okay, Catherine, a Scientology parishioner and owner of Endless Treasure on Cleveland Street, said the church would never instruct staff to avoid downtown in order to hurt businesses. It was a response, she said, to unfair complaints about the visual impact of Sea Org uniforms. Yes! This is the other thing in the article. This public Scientologist just inadvertently admitted to the boycott. She just wanted to clarify the purpose of the boycott. She wasn't smart enough to throw a caveat on top of the whole thing and be like, no, the Sea Org members are changing out of their uniforms. So she basically says, I'm going to read it again. The church would never instruct staff to avoid downtown Clearwater in order to hurt businesses. I'm paraphrasing now. They instructed the staff to avoid downtown Clearwater in response to complaints about the visual impact of Sea Org uniforms. Okay, I'm amazed that the church wasn't able to just keep this completely under wraps, tell everybody not to say anything at all, and just let it play out. Apparently, some of these business owners in downtown who are not Scientologists were told, this is mentioned in the article, some local Sea Org members and some local Scientologists told them that they were instructed to stop patronizing the downtown businesses. Okay, so another thought that I have about this. I think this is probably more about penalizing the Clearwater government than it is penalizing the people. But how do you go about penalizing the government? Well, you have to hurt the people. You have to make the people mad at the government. And I think this is the Scientology's way of sending a message to the local government that says, you cannot ignore our wishes and avoid our wrath. You cannot act like we aren't the 800-pound gorilla who can throw its weight around any way we want. This is their way of sending the message, we get what we want or we impose our will in other ways. And they don't seem to care whether it hurts private business owners in downtown or not. The fact that they're willing to wage all-out overt war against downtown Clearwater and the city of Clearwater in this day and age, I have to admit, it has surprised the hell out of me. So what else could Scientology be trying to accomplish here? Is it possible that the church is trying to now put the businesses in downtown out of business so that the property owners can't rent out the properties? Like, if everyone goes out of business down here, those property owners aren't going to be able to find new businesses to rent the storefronts. Is Miscavige trying to get all of these downtown business owners to now sell their properties so the church can snap it up, so he can now definitely do what he wants and give a big middle finger to the city? That's occurred to me. But really, this is quite fascinating. I think one thing I'm going to do, I think I'm going to try to, over the course of a week, go downtown like the morning, the afternoon, and at night, and just take 5 seconds of video to show at each time slot, and then I'll try to compile them together and show you just what the streets of downtown Clearwater look like on a regular basis. And it is a ghost town. And this has to do with also, Clearwater says that there's 10 or 12,000 Scientologists living in Clearwater. Where are they? If they live in Clearwater, how come you don't see them on the streets of Clearwater? If all these people are going on course at Flag, how come you see open street parking everywhere? How come I don't see lines of cars going in to the parking structure of the new Flag building? I'd be hard pressed to say that there's more than 2,000 Scientologists, non-Sea Org and non-staff Scientologists living in the entire Tampa Bay area. All right, well, those are just all my thoughts on this for right now. I'll put out something else in the next 2 or 3 days. And thanks for watching, and see you guys soon. Bye. All right, if you would like to subscribe to this channel, please go ahead and click up here. If you would like to see the most recent video I uploaded, go ahead and click up here. And for 2 other videos that YouTube thinks you probably haven't seen before, click right here or right here. Thanks, guys.